but I can't get out of bed. There's too much in my head. I could be more faithful, but I fail at that habit. So I run around instead. I wanna be good to myself, love hard to breathe more, drink less. I wanna be seen at my best, sleep more, be nice a lot less. All I need is 21 days and I'm fine. Genuine everyone, I'ma still need more time. Every single year, yeah, it never fails, I try. But maybe I don't ever wanna put down this life. I could be your best friend, but I can't pick up my phone. Let it ring cause no one's home. I'm always judging and degrading. I should stop all that, I'm sure, but I'm just too insecure. I wanna be good to myself, love hard to breathe more, drink less. I wanna be seen at my best, sleep more, be nice a lot less. All I need is 21 days and I'm fine. Genuine everyone, I'ma still need more time. Every single year, yeah, it never fails, I try. But maybe I don't ever wanna put down this life. All I need is 21 days and I'm fine. Genuine everyone, I'ma still need more time. Every single year, yeah, it never fails, I try. But maybe I don't ever wanna put down this life.
My lies memorized in my heart.
walking down the boulevard. She got the posture of a superstar. She looks so fly in those Gucci slides. Yeah, I wonder what she hides under her disguise. Yeah. And all the girls around the world, they wanna be her. And all the dudes are trying to score like it's fever. She lives a double life, puts on a show. What's under the subtle smile, we'll never know. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. Let me paint a picture. I see they don't understand. Feeling like Picasso. She brushing against my hands. Seen you from around the way. You didn't give me the time of day. You be making moves that yeah, who really care what Simon say? All the bad things, girl, I had to look past that. Call yourself a dime, I'm just trying to get my cash back. You be looking fine, so no wonder they can't match that. Louis V scarf, or I'm chilling with a dad hat. Whoa, slow it down like that. Just hold me down like that. Yeah. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute and start mine. Cool?
Yep.
Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm not here alone today, though. I don't have to face the hordes of chuds alone. Today, I have Kevin Logan with me, twitch.tv/KFLogan1875. Hello.
Hello there. How are you, Hannah?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very well. Surviving the snowstorm that is modern Britain.
Well, I hope you don't get trapped or anything. So today we're looking at all sorts of interesting people, as you can see on my screen right now, being share screened as a lovely individual by the name of Lord of Patriarchy, whom we've covered before here on my channel. We're dual casting right now, by the way. So
yes, go everyone. I should probably repeat this. Yeah, go and follow Hannah Reloaded on YouTube and Hannah Reloaded as well on Twitch.
Yep, and like I said earlier, KF Logan 1875 here on Twitch, and on YouTube, just Kevin Logan.
Indeed. Basic.
So,
that is my name.
So I don't know, did we have any, I don't know, housekeeping things we needed to talk about before we got into it?
Well, just to say that you, Baha, and Lupine are my favourite trio of all time.
Oh, thank you.
You are
I appreciate that.
Cutest people ever. Baha will just come in and give you a hug, and my heart melts. It's too much.
That's so sweet.
Well, yes. Anyway, let's. By the by, yes. So, yeah. Other than that, though, we get on with chudding, I suppose.
Sure. We got to counteract the niceness with some awful people. So let's see what Lord of Patriarchy is up to, shall we?
Yes. Well, I should explain. This is a little bit of self-indulgence on my part, because as you can see, that this is a Lord of Patriarchy video entitled "Well, Kevin Logan Won." Naturally, that speaks to me because it's literally me. My lore with Lord of Patriarchy goes back to when his original channel, which was War Corps 666. Which is an amazing name. It got taken down because he's an awful person. Also, beautifully, he once on that channel had to apologise to the state of Hawaii because he called them a pile of S or whatever, and he got picked up by the local media, and he had to put out an apology to a State of the Union, which is...
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why did he call the entire state of Hawaii that?
Because he's an awful person, and they did they passed some liberal thing. I don't know. It could have been anything. It could have been a trans bathroom thing. It could have been just a general FU to Hawaii, and it got, like I say, it got picked up by like a local paper, and then it went on the TV in Hawaii or something, and he got a lot of blowback from the great denizens of that fine state. And yeah, he ended up having to put out a video apologising. Not to like the people, or anything. He apologised to Hawaii, which is mind-blowing.
If I ever end up in a situation where I have to apologize to an entire state, I think I'm going to retire. I think that's it. I think I've failed at that point at whatever I'm trying to do.
He's a special person. He really is, and he has a special place in my heart because he's the first person who ever responded to me on YouTube back when I used to do like prepared content, and we had a back and forth. It was delightful. And anyway, so apropos of literally nothing. Back in like March, when Joe Biden, the current, I believe, incumbent in the White House, which is good, he had just become the nominee, and I hadn't said anything in terms of a prediction, but our friend, whose real name is Dave, so we'll call him Dave, put out a thing to me saying, "I challenge you to a bet that you've said that Joe Biden will win, and I say that Donald Trump will win." I hadn't made that prediction. And I hadn't tried to put a bet on with him, but he decided it was going to happen. And so he took a note out of the ALS challenge, ice bucket challenge thing, and said, if Trump wins, you have to dump a bucket of ice water on your head. And if Biden wins, so on. And I thought, that's okay, because you live in Minnesota, and as you can see here, there's snow on the ground. Whereas I live in Britain, and it would be a bit cold, but nothing too bad. So I thought, okay, I'll take that bet. And I called him out, and eventually, of course, the election went the way it did, and it paid off in hilarious fashion.
Okay, we're in my backyard, and you're probably wondering, why are we here? Well, a year ago, I made a bet with Kevin Logan that if Trump won re-election, he would dump ice water on his head, and if Trump lost, I would dump ice water on mine. Now, yes, the election has not been finalized. However, I'm about 95.5 certain that it's going to go one way. And that probably means we're going to have President-elect Biden, the worst president we're ever going to have. But a bet's a bet. He's called me out.
And he did it.
I now take this bucket of ice water and dump it upon my head. Okay, Kevin. Our bet is done.
You know what? There's so many chuds that would make that bet and then never follow through. As much as I dislike Lord of Patriarchy and I think he's a bad dude, I respect that he followed through on the bet.
He did, yeah. But I especially love that clearly actually hurt, because he was like, oh, okay. And I can imagine him running in and taking a hot shower afterward or something. But yeah,
Sure.
he followed through, and that, yeah, exactly, that's worth respect. Indeed.
I do find it a bit suspect that he said Biden will be the worst president we've ever had. Has he been cryogenically frozen for the past 4 years?
No, but he is a chud. So his mind has been cryogenically frozen for the last 15 years or something, possibly. I'm not sure. But, yeah, he's made his mind up.
Actual Jake, thank you for rating. Welcome, Raiders. We're doing Chuds with Kevin Logan, KF Logan 1875 on Twitch. So
yes, hello, Raiders.
Welcome.
Yes. So on from that to something that's not so great from our friend Dave. The Capitol Hill terrorisms.
Yeah.
And his obsession with AOC.
Oh, is he like Ben Shapiro? Does he want the Steelers shoes?
He does.
Want feet pics?
He definitely does. He definitely does. Yes.
Sure.
But anyway, he's doing that thing of when a young man is enamored with a young woman and doesn't necessarily understand how to deal with that, they will sometimes be a little bit rude because they don't know how to deal with feelings. Is how I think he's reacting here.
Pulling on her pigtails or whatever. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, little bitty AOC is all scared. She needs her teddy bear when she's in Congress because she doesn't feel safe around colleagues.
Okay, hold. Can you pause it for a sec? this frustrates me to no end. I've seen multiple chuds do this over the past, I don't know, week or so, when AOC said that, like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel safe around my colleagues. And they've made fun of this? Guys, this month, a bunch of right-wing psychos with weapons stormed the Capitol building to try and stop a democratic process. And the FBI has said at this point that there were people inside the Capitol working with them because they had Facebook messages telling them where to go to get to the underground tunnels. These were people who were intending to kidnap and or murder members of the United States Congress. AOC and every member of Congress has every right to feel that their lives are in danger, because they are. People have been radicalized in the United States, okay? They're basically like right-wing Christian Al-Qaeda. It's not good. You should not be taking this lightly. And Lord of Patriarchy, doing a silly, stupid voice just makes you look like a jackass.
Well, no,
okay.
Clearly he can't be a jackass. He's got the clocks.
That's true. The very accurate clocks.
So he's intelligent, and he knows how time works. So, checkmate, atheists. Anyway, yes. Yeah, like you say, it's literally that one police officer who, I mean, I'm reticent to give any congratulations to a police officer, but he literally led them away from the Senate like the Pied Piper of Fash.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Otherwise, many senators might now be dead. And Tim Paul's wet dream of a civil war might actually have happened. Who knows?
Oh my God, did you see Tim Pool's video like the day of when he was covering it?
Oh, he looked like he was literally ejaculating throughout the entire thing, yeah.
He was so excited.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
It was embarrassing, yeah, and he was doing that thing where, oh, this is really serious, this is terrible, where and you can tell inside he's like jumping for joy. It's embarrassing. What a fool. He's genuinely, it sounds strange because he's such an absolute tool, but he might be one of the most dangerous people on YouTube because he's got such a reach.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And he also, the fact that he frames himself as like, I'm a centrist, and then he does nothing but go to bat for super right-wing positions and promote conspiracy theories. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, indeed.
Happen, bitch. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC, or as I like to call her, Little Lexi.
Ooh.
That's a sick burn, bro. Little Lexi. Oh, she's not coming back from that one. Jesus.
It's definitely not misogynistic at all, by the way, to try and infantilize a female member of the House of Representatives. Not petty at all.
No. But this is a man of great achievement, so I think he can look down on her, definitely.
That's true. Have you seen how many beers he can drink? Okay.
He has, and he's got a mini fridge, which is the mini fridge of destiny, as people will know on my channel. It knows all things. That's where he gets his power from. It's true.
Appeared Thursday on Cuomo Primetime and spoke about the continuing threat of Republican lawmakers carrying guns onto the House floor. I don't know what the status of D.C. is for concealed carry, but if they have a legal right to carry it,
you could
why
have
the hell
checked.
They
not?
don't.
But if he didn't know, he could have checked.
Yeah, they do not have the right to bring guns onto the floor of Congress. If in case anyone's curious, you are not allowed to bring weapons. You're not even really allowed to bring like knives into Congress, much less a gun, even if you're a congressperson, which is why the person who did that got fined $5,000. And if they do it again, they'll get fined $10,000. And I think it goes up every time. So.
Well, that's clearly that's going against the Second Amendment, which was clearly meant. Clearly, the founders definitely wanted gunfights on the floor of the Congress. So
yeah, that's what it says. It says you shall have the right to bring guns into a place of law and threaten your fellow people with QAnon bullshit. So
it's true.
There you go.
Well, the
founding fathers were truly wise.
Little known fact: in the original draft of the Bill of Rights, it said that Congress voting should be 1 shot for yes, 2 shots for no. That was literally true. They were gonna have bulletproof ceiling in the building and everything. But the Liberals don't want you to know that, do they?
True.
What do you think? The Republican lawmakers are going to pull a gun on you
Yes.
No, they're not.
Yeah. If they're a crazy QAnon person, sure.
Well, that's the point. Yeah. Like firstly, they must now have realised that the Q thing was nonsense because they've now been around these people. There isn't a satanic paedophile cult or anything. But
You'd be shocked at the mental gymnastics some of these people do. But on top of that, I honestly, the QAnon congresswoman, I feel like is maybe to some extent, I don't know how much she really believes it. I feel like she's using it as a political tool. Because like she has nothing else going for her. Yeah. She ran unopposed, I'm pretty sure, in the first place. But I feel like if she didn't have the QAnon thing going, she would have had less fervent support. Who knows, though?
Yeah. Indeed, yeah. But I mean, if there are people who believe that you're involved in a satanic cult to destroy America, then I think it's perfectly reasonable to think that person might pull a gun on you. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I can't wait. Like I hate to sound like Alex Jones, but I can't wait to see the inside job element of the Capitol insurrection, because like you say, in the court, they're literally saying that they were being directed via, as of now, anonymous insider on Facebook, telling them where the Congress people were in the tunnels under the building and stuff. That's really worrying. That's incredibly worrying.
Yep, there are also Congress people who are giving tours to, and bear in mind, the Congress has been closed for weeks and weeks and weeks because of COVID. But Congress people had brought in groups of Trump supporters to give them tours of Congress days prior to the actual insurrection attempt. So I'm sure some of those people ended up being some of the people who went inside and did what they did.
Indeed.
Anyway, she skipped Joe Biden's inauguration on Wednesday, choosing instead to support striking grocery workers in the Bronx. Unions are terrible.
Well, that argument kills centuries of organizing then. Yeah, good.
You know what I love? I love having the right to be fired for absolutely no reason. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Although Dave doesn't mind because he doesn't have a job, I don't think. So who cares, I suppose.
Sure.
But yeah, I like that. Just saying no, unions are rubbish is just a good argument against all of the gains they've made for centuries. Yeah.
Weekends, 40-hour work weeks, child labor laws. Screw that.
Yeah. Terrible stuff. What we need is children back down mines, clearly.
Yeah. What if there's like something trapped in a little space? How am I supposed to get it? My hands are too meaty. Need a child hand, okay?
Or a cat.
And if they lose it, that's fine. They're spry. They're young. They'll recover.
Exactly. This little known fact, children's arms will grow back if they get caught up in a loom. It's fine.
Yeah. They're like starfish. Sometimes the arm will grow a second child off of it.
Well, that went weird. But thank you.
And I say this as a former union member. I know they suck because I was forced to join one. And let me tell you, when the shit hit the fan and I actually needed the fuckers, they were nowhere to be found. All union...
Yeah, I don't think they really had anywhere to go with your sexual harassment claims against you. Well,
I wonder what it was. Legitimately, was it that? Because usually unions are good at, like, you know, protecting their workers and their members. So he must have done something really, really terrible and inexcusable for them to not do anything.
Presumably, or he's just lying and they did try, but ultimately he did do something that was sackable, and so, you know,
sure,
tough. Like, they're not magic men. They can't they can't do, you know, they can't get you out of illegal stuff, Dave.
Yeah. Real quick, by the way, people who are doing bit messages and stuff in the chat, I'll try and get to them like at the very end of the stream, just so I don't like throw off the flow, because we're like simul streaming and I don't want to like stop every, you know, however long like I normally do.
That's fine. No, you do your thing. It's fine.
Oh, I have a ton of them though, so maybe in between videos, but not during it.
Okay.
Representatives do, or union people, they sit on their ass, they do nothing for complaints. The only people they seem to lift a finger for is to help terrible employees that should be fired. So yeah, unions terrible. Outside of a very few industry, all the unions could fucking go bye-bye. We had very real security concerns as well. We still don't feel safe around other members of Congress. How much is we? I think a very considerable amount. Well, most everyone was there.
Yeah. Oh, God. Like, having a drinking problem is bad, and I'm not going to make fun of that. But
Sure.
Don't flaunt it, maybe?
No, he thinks it's hilarious that he's an alcoholic. I'm someone who also has, let's say, impulse control issues, so I don't drink anymore. But like going on camera and being like, "Yeah, I'm an alcoholic. Isn't this funny?"
Yeah.
Not good. Not a great coping mechanism.
No, it's not nice and quirky and like an interesting aspect of your personality. It's genuinely depressing, Dave.
It's not even unique. I live in Michigan, and drinking is like just the state pastime. Alcoholism is basically what everyone does for fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll just say Melissa Carone and leave it there.
Cited Andy Harris as proof. The congressman from Maryland tried to sneak a gun into the House chamber but was stopped by police, at which point he reportedly tried passing it off to someone else. And what do you think he's going to do even if he has a gun in there?
But why would he need to take a gun in there if he wasn't going to do anything? Why is it an issue that it would be stopped from taking the gun in there?
Yeah, it's incredibly stupid. Like I just don't understand if there are enough people that are in the building that the Capitol Police cannot handle it, you and your handgun are not going to do anything. So the only reason you would want to bring a gun into Congress is either you're a grandstanding idiot who just wants to be like, my Second Amendment rights, I want to, so whatever. And your Second Amendment right doesn't apply to the building of Congress.
Yeah.
Or if you like want to start some shit. There's no reasonable reason to be bringing your gun into Congress, period.
But what about if 30 to 50 feral hogs decide to invade
That's
the Congress?
True.
Then
If 30, can we just start calling the MAGA insurrectionists a horde of 30 to 50 wild hogs, feral hogs?
That works. That definitely works. Yeah. Well, Hassan Piker calls them hogs, doesn't he? So that way they fits in. We'll make it a bread tube thing or whatever.
AOC, I know you probably sit in your little pillow fort under your, when your bed's in a kitty corner and you sit in that little fort and you read your picture books. Well, guess what? A gun isn't magical. A gun can't load itself, fly around, and randomly shoot people.
It can be accidentally discharged. That does happen.
First of all, it's definitely loaded already. Otherwise, what's the point? Second of all, I think her issue is that she's concerned that the particular people who are bringing the guns in might have ill intent because they're QAnon type people, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, again, the infantilization, specifically, I think because she's a woman. I don't see this done to like male members of Congress typically.
No.
Like, Lord of Patriarchy is an adult man who wears nothing but graphic t-shirts with references to like cartoons and stuff. And yet he has the gall to like try and infantilize a member of Congress. Well, Jesus Christ, Dave.
Yeah, well, that's why these people love attacking the squad, because they're women.
Yeah.
They love it. It's their perfect outlet for their internal frustrations.
Sure.
Following the deadly insurrection, 1, it wasn't deadly. 2, it was...
Whoa.
5 people died.
Yeah. What's your definition of deadly, Dave?
You need at least 6. It's not deadly unless there are 6 deaths. So they were real close, but not quite.
Oh, just missed out. Terrible stuff. Much like Trump in many respects.
Wasn't an insurrection. And 3, what the fuck was the Chaz Chop if you're going to cause what that was as an insurrection? No, it was a bunch of idiots.
They took over a park.
They took over like some block amount. I don't know. But did they try and overthrow the federal government? I don't remember that shit.
I don't think they didn't even. I think the most that ever happened was someone tried to set fire to one courthouse Which isn't good. I'm not saying that's okay.
No.
But that's not the same as trying to murder Congress people.
Yeah, the equivocation, I've seen them too try and compare it to like Black Lives Matter protests, the ones where like there were, and by the way, again, most Black Lives Matter protests had no incidents, but of course there were a couple where like, oh, a Wendy's got burned down, and they're trying to equivocate like a Wendy's getting burned down to someone trying to overthrow the government and murder Congress people.
Yeah.
And I don't understand their brains. I really, really don't.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely ridiculous. First off, even if you want to equivocate the two sets of actions, I think we can agree that there are some uses of more robust action in history that have been successful and righteous, like the American Revolutionary War, for instance, would be one example. But that's on the basis that you've got some sort of cause that's worthwhile. And Black Lives Matter clearly do. You can argue to what extent or whatever, but they clearly do.
Sure.
Whereas the 30 to 50 feral hogs that invaded the Congress building, they didn't. They literally were just going off a pack of lies.
Yep.
There's no comparison.
Idiot Trump supporters that got rowdy. Now, do they deserve to go to jail? Yes. I've said this 5,900 times, but I haven't to keep repeating it.
You don't have to.
Just as every motherfucker that's Antifa or BLM that riots and loots and all that other shit can go to jail. They can all be loaded up on the same fucking bus and drove to the same fucking prison. Also, was it a deadly insurrection when people stormed the Senate to try to stop the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh? What the fuck was that? Was that Americans giving the Senate their voice, or were they deadly insurrectionists?
Okay, hey, Lord of Patriarchy, how many people died during that?
No one.
What was damaged? Who did they break into the Capitol building while it was closed, or did they go inside and like protest peacefully?
Yeah,
Which one is it?
They protested.
Did they
peacefully, and the police took care of it pretty easily.
Yeah.
No,
they didn't have weapons or cuffs. They weren't coordinating with people inside to try and find, kidnap, and kill Congress people.
Also, he genuinely doesn't seem to understand what the word deadly means. Because he just said,
No.
was that a deadly insurrection? No, even if it was an insurrection, which it wasn't, it certainly wasn't deadly.
No.
Not a single person threw a fire extinguisher at the head of a police officer. That didn't happen.
Nope.
You have to make up your mind. I'm done with double standards. The second you have a double standard, to me, your point is garbage. Your point is trash. It is useless.
Well, that's silly as well. I hate to stop every couple of seconds, but it's difficult not to. Just on the basis that you can have a double standard and still have some semblance of a point. It doesn't make it useless. You shouldn't do double standards, but it doesn't completely negate the point.
I think he's throwing out. I've talked about this recently. The right seems to throw away all context and take the superficial elements of two situations, and as long as the superficial elements are close enough, they'll call it a double standard, even though the context of both situations is entirely different. So they don't look at like, oh, why are people entering the building of Congress? Also, is the building closed because of COVID? Also, did people die? Also, what was their intent? Was it to protest or was it to murder members of Congress? All they see is people entering Congress, and then they say, well, that's close enough. Aesthetically, to me, it looks the same, even though it really doesn't. And therefore, it's a double standard. Yeah. It's very strange. Context is poison to these people.
Yeah. They see one person throw a brick through a Starbucks window, and that's the same as breaking down the windows of Congress and rushing the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, again, like you say, if you remove context from anything, you can dishonestly claim that any two things are basically the same.
Yep.
Some House members became suspicious that the Republican colleagues may have been in on it. Metal detectors were installed outside the chamber as an extra precaution. Some members have attempted to flout the new safety measures. Lauren Boebert has spoken openly about her desire to carry a gun with her at all times. Again, She has the legal right to do it.
No, she doesn't.
No.
She absolutely does not. You are not allowed to bring weapons into Congress. You can't have knives. You can't have guns.
Yeah.
Take 5 seconds to Google this before you say something so confidently, you idiot.
And didn't that sprang from the actual Civil War, didn't it? When before the separation, they started bringing pistols into the chamber?
I don't know the actual origin of the law, but I know DC has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, especially in regard to federal buildings.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not something that's allowed.
Yeah, I wonder if there's been a history of like assassinations and stuff that might make people wary of having loaded weapons around politically exposed figures.
No, that can't be it. No politician has ever been killed.
No.
We should probably have like a word for that. Like, I don't know. Ooh. No, wait, no, that won't work. I'll have to workshop it. Workshop it.
Yeah, we'll come up with something.
Okay.
And the Second Amendment says she can do it.
No.
Nope.
Reportedly clashed with Capitol Police on the first day the metal detectors were installed. Some House members have just ignored them after setting them off. The moment you bring a gun...
Was that an argument?
Yeah, noises are arguments now.
They are.
onto the House floor in violation of the rules, you put everyone around you in danger. No! Guns are not sentient. They are tools, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Long as it isn't fucking in the hand of someone or you don't hear it go off, everyone's fine.
Right. But that assumes that no one can have ill intent when we know there are QAnon people.
Yeah.
And not just that, but if Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene went into Congress and killed, say, AOC, for instance.
Sure.
There would be a lot of people who would support that. There would be a lot of people who would raise money for her. She would still go to jail, and rightly so, but she'd be very, very popular for it.
I feel like 30 to 40% of the country would be like, yay, you killed the communist, because no one in America knows what a communist is.
Well, Joe Biden's a communist, so that word means nothing.
Guns can't magically fire on their own.
Well, no, but they can
straw man.
They can misfire as well.
Sure.
People have shot themselves accidentally and things. It happens.
Yeah.
And there's no need. There's literally, you're not hunting. There's no real need for self-protection. Like, there's no need for you to have a gun in that place.
Yeah. There's security guards. There's cops all over the place.
Yeah.
Why do you need a gun on the floor of Congress?
Yeah, exactly. Case, I don't know. Again, 30 to 50 feral hogs. Definitely. That could happen.
It's irresponsible. It's reckless. Beyond that, it's a violation of the rules. Oh, like how Ilhan Omar violated the rules by wearing her stupid fucking hijab.
What?
Oof.
On Congress's floor in clear violation of no headwear. But oh no, we had to change the rules for little old her, despite the fact that a bunch of fucking Jews served in Congress long before her, and all of them took out their yarmulkes.
Wowzers.
The phrase "a bunch of fucking Jews" screams a person who really cares about religious freedom.
Yeah, I don't understand the issue. Like, he's supposed to be, and this is funny, he's supposed to be like a libertarian. Shouldn't he be in favor of like people being able to wear their religious headwear? That would be the libertarian stance, right?
Yeah.
Not saying, I don't know. Seems strange.
Yeah, not just that, but the basic argument, again, like you say, from the libertarian perspective, would be just because Jewish members of Congress have been wronged in the past, and they clearly were, the yarmulke is of no concern at all. Why continue also to wrong another person from a different religion?
Yeah.
The same would be true if a Sikh got elected, for instance, and they many of them wear turbans. Again, it's not there's nothing offensive there. Like, and I don't particularly understand the rule for no hats. That seems like some weird,
It's antiquated. It's like I think it's a relic of back in the day when hats were a very, very common, piece of clothing for men, and men, of course, made up the vast majority of Congress. I mean, they still do, but I mean, back in the day, people would wear like fedoras and shit. I think it probably comes from that. And even before that, more formal, 19th century hats and shit.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see a Congress with a mixture of hats. I want to see way more top hats.
Honestly, can we just change the rule to mandatory hats? Yeah. But everyone has to have a different hat. So then we can get one with one of those like propeller hats, and then someone else will have like a top hat.
Exactly. And then you can tell the really basic motherfuckers who are just going to turn up in like a baseball cap. What are you doing? Yeah. You could wear anything and you've gone baseball cap. Pandering.
The person who wears, they can all vote on who has the best hat, and then the best hat gets 10 extra votes for every bill put up for vote that day.
Exactly. That's the right word. Exactly. It would be a hat arms race at that point. It'd be amazing.
I want to live in a... Can we live in a hatocracy? Yeah. I'm for this, please.
You'd start, like, do you know the classic era Elton John, where he used to come out with those ridiculously huge... You'd have a Congress full of that, and let's be honest, that would be worth watching at that point. People would pay attention to their democracy at that point.
C-SPAN ratings would go through the roof.
Yeah, true.
Again, I said a bunch of Jews just because I don't know all the names of all the Jewish representatives since the country began off the top of my head.
Well, why not choose some racial names? Just be racist about it and make up some names, Dave. Why not? You couldn't be more racist at this point, really.
Like, is there not a line somewhere between, like, saying a whole bunch of effing Jews and saying like Jewish members of Congress? He could have said like he didn't need to know they're all individual names. He could have been like, there are Jewish members of Congress and have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There were less inflammatory ways to say that.
Yeah. Joe Lieberman. There you go. There's one. He definitely was.
Yeah, there were Orthodox Jews in the goddamn government, and they took off their yarmulke because of the rules.
Well, that's not just an Orthodox Jewish thing. That's like a lot of religious Jewish people will wear a yarmulke.
Yeah. Shapiro does.
Shapiro does, but in a comical way, because he wears like the biggest yarmulke I've ever seen. Like, way to virtue signal.
I'm not familiar with yarmulke sizes.
Well, I'm told reliably with my Jewish friends that he wears like a slightly silly, oversized version of the yarmulke. It's supposed to be kind of modest or whatever, but he wears one so you definitely see it. Like, yeah, okay, Ben, calm.
But oh no, we had to change the fucking rules for little old her, which was bullshit. She should have been forced to take off her stupid fucking hijab. Like, again, do you really think God cares what you have on your head?
Well, clearly she does, yes. I mean, I think she's wrong.
Sure.
We're both godless baby-eating heathens, obviously. But she clearly does think that that's the case, and she wants to wear the thing, and it doesn't prevent her in any way, or indeed prevent any of her colleagues from doing their job.
As we all know, the Second Amendment applies in Congress, but the First Amendment doesn't, okay?
Exactly.
You can have guns, but your freedom of religion is trash.
Well, exactly. Well, yeah, because it's the Second Amendment, and the number 2 is bigger than the number 1. So
that's true.
That's how it works. Yeah.
You're openly disobeying the rules that we have established as a community. Bullshit. You only care about the rules when it benefits you, which means you cannot be trusted to be held accountable to what you've decided as a community. Pelosi announced a hefty fine for lawmakers who bypass the metal detectors. But besides, I'd love to know how she plans to enforce that. If she fined me, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm not paying it. Take me to court. Take me to court.
They would?
Yeah.
And they would force you to pay it.
Yeah, what do you think's going to happen in that scenario, Dave?
I'm sure a DC judge would be like, oh yeah, I'll let this slide.
Yeah. And here are some guns. Bring guns into my court as well. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, come on now. Not just that, but Dave, weren't you going on about people breaking rules like 5 seconds ago?
Yeah.
And this is a rule that's been broken, and you're saying, well, I don't care. This is a law I don't like.
And it's funny because he also just got off a tirade saying that he hates double standards. So,
Indeed. Well, and by his own logic, the fact that he's got a double standard means all of his points are worthless.
True.
Or try to impeach my ass. Go for it, bitch.
No, they just increase like the fine and force you to pay it.
Yeah.
But what do you think's going to happen there? Like I saw you talking about Count Dankula. Was that last night or the night before or something?
I think it got mentioned in one of Jake and I's videos.
No, I don't. But I heard you talking about it anyway. And he's
Okay.
quite an interesting one because he got fined like £800, which is about $1,000 thereabouts.
Sure.
And US dollars, that is. And he wanted to make like more of a spectacle of it by refusing to pay, but they just took it from his bank account because they're the government. They can literally just do that.
Yep.
So he just went to the bank one day and he had no money, and they'd taken £800 from him because that was what he owed. Oh, did I hear a Baha there?
Yep, she was sneezing. Bless you. Also, they the fines are actually not like cash fines. They are wage garnishes from the pay you get for serving in Congress. So it's just taken out of their paychecks anyway.
So they literally couldn't refuse to pay because they don't have an option. Okay.
Yep.
That's even better. So you'd just be petulantly whinging, which is very, very on point for Dave, I think.
AOC believes bringing a gun to the House floor creates an unnecessary danger. Oh, my God. Unless your lawmaker, while you're giving a speech, is playing Russian roulette, there is no danger. Guns by themselves, holstered and properly stored on a person, do not present a danger to anyone.
But if they are taken out of the holster by a crazy mofo and pointed at you and fired, they do.
I think the standard for "Are you a crazy mofo?" should be, do you want to bring a gun to the floor of Congress? If yes, you are too crazy to have a gun.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Because again, there's no other reason you would need a gun there but to, at the very least, intimidate your colleagues.
Sure.
Yeah.
A gun, to be dangerous, must be drawn by a human hand and then fired by a human hand. Then, yes, they get dangerous. But just hanging out in a holster, no. Not a chance.
I love that he thinks that's a gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't care if you accidentally set it off. If you're responsible, that won't happen. If you intentionally...
And as we know, all American gun owners are very responsible.
Absolutely. They definitely don't have murder fantasies at all. They don't want someone to break into their house so they can shoot them in the head 30 times.
Yeah. Exactly. They should just join the police. You can do that legally. Oh, that's an off-air joke I told on air. Oops.
set it off. No, those are two completely different things. One is an accident. The other is intentional. You do know that in law, when deciding whether to bring criminal charges against someone, we have to first determine, was it a true blue accident that no reasonable person could have prevented or foreseen the consequences, or was it negligence, or was it intentional? Because you do know you don't get in trouble if it's a true blue accident.
But that's not necessarily true.
It doesn't even matter for the
Yeah.
concept he's talking about, because, like, just because you wouldn't get in trouble doesn't mean AOC, if it was an accident, wouldn't have a reason to be concerned, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was an accident. You accidentally shot a 97-year-old member of Congress in the head. Whoopsie. It was an accident, though, so I'm not allowed to be upset about it. That's such a stupid argument.
Plus, you just then get Republicans like taking guns into Congress and accidentally dropping them on the floor all the time, hoping that it'll go off. You wouldn't be able to hear the debate over the sound of guns clanking on the floor.
It's a filibuster, but it's just a Republican shooting a gun into the air for 6 hours.
I could see Ted Cruz doing that. Definitely. In between reading Horton Hears a Who or something. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, every time he drinks and he can hear it going down his throat. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, I can't talk. I haven't got a glass, but I'm not, an alcoholic. Dave, just get a glass. We don't want to hear you glugging. It's gross. Don't involve everyone else in your problem, would be my suggestion.
Like 1 in a million or something like that. You're endangering the lives of members of Congress. No, you're not.
That's
and
argument one.
It's outrageous that we even have to have this conversation. Okay, so a congresswoman can't have a gun.
Correct.
How many guns do you think are actually on the floor, AOC? Do you honestly think there's no armed security on the floor of the goddamn House of Representatives?
They're the security.
If that's true, you need to get better coloring books.
What? What does that even mean? What?
It's his one joke. Is that AOC is a child, even though he doesn't even know how clocks work. I guess he didn't get to that kindergarten class yet.
Well, he's like Dave Rubin. He's got high-level ideas going on. He can't be dealing with time. Time is an insignificant, puny thing to Dave. Clearly.
Okay.
You could edit that out. For fuck's sake. Sorry. Go on.
To upgrade to your big girl readers. There's armed men all over, inside and outside the Capitol.
Yeah, they're security,
Are
Dave.
you retarded?
Oh, for.
Uh,
Yeah, there you go. It's a hazard of watching the Chud video, unfortunately.
yeah.
So yeah, well, God, Jesus. Somebody once asked when I was making fun of AOC, like if I had the chance to sleep with her, I'd
for God! It always with Dave. Dave, firstly, why the fuck would she lower herself? Really? Why?
Maybe we should give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just says this about every congressperson. If he talks about Mitch McConnell, maybe he talks about would I fuck Mitch McConnell. I'm sure he's very internally consistent and isn't just being super, super gross.
I'll be honest. Given the chance, he's famous. I probably would. I'm not gay, but I would. Because, just to say, yeah, I fucked it. I legally fucked a turtle. Who can say that? It's a beautiful thing. And I suppose, look, we won't go into it, but there's another video where Dave was complaining about Biden setting taxes too high. But the thing he was actually covering was Amazon being taxed.
Yeah.
Who's against Amazon being taxed? What?
He's a libertarian. He's got a. Oh God! I keep wanting to say the word I can't say on Twitch anymore. He wants to defend multi-billionaires. Okay. How else is he going to become a multi-billionaire if he doesn't defend them? Okay.
True.
One day Bezos will show up at his house and he'll say, "I saw you on the internet defending me not paying taxes. Here's $7 billion."
Which is a tiny fraction of my wealth. That's a grim thing. Good Lord.
Like, no, I wouldn't. You know why? I don't sleep with stupid, and she is.
Dave doesn't masturbate. Confirmed.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. But not just that. But Dave, if she so much as looked at you, if you made eye contact with her, you would instantly spill your load. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you've seen his awful rating women videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, if any of those women, including the 25 beer ribeye steak women, that's a method of analysing women, apparently. Yeah, if any of them looked at you twice, Dave, you'd be high-fiving people in the street.
Grade A stupid. God damn, how in the people of her fucking district, Jesus. Vote her out. She's an embarrassment. My God, if I lived in Brooklyn, I'd hang my head in shame.
Well, I'm sure AOC will struggle to recover from that savaging that she just took there. Maybe she should just get better colouring books or something, and maybe Dave would stop. I don't know.
Maybe. Who doesn't like coloring books, by the way? So rude.
Yeah, very much so. Ah, so that's Dave. He's an interesting chap. Yeah.
Okay, let me switch over to my thing.
Yes. Yes, and we'll watch whatever the hell you want to watch.
Let's see. I got these guys, and I got. Let's do Abby Shapiro.
Yeah. Me okay? Oh, you need to share with me, Hannah.
Oh, sorry. Duh.
No, that's
My
okay.
B. I'll
That's
restart.
okay. I was giving you a second to do the thing, and I was like, anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay.
There we go.
Hello, Classic Crew, and welcome to today's video, where we're going to be talking about 6 ways to talk to liberals. I recently read Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind. I've been talking about it a lot on my Twitter and on Instagram, and I just recently finished it. So, the book is talking...
Oh. Buffering, probably because I'm also share screening. Hold on. I'll turn the quality down.
Well, that is not very classical of you.
Let me share screen at a lower quality.
Talking about the moral psychology underlying left and right on the spectrum of American politics, and how by understanding the differences in approach by the two sides as regards morality, we can actually understand people better as individuals. Now, there were things about this book that I didn't love, because Jonathan Haidt is a liberal, and he was writing this book for liberals so that they could try and understand conservatives. But in doing so, he ended up being a little bit condescending to conservatives and sort of stereotyping our morals and our values. But there were also some really valuable
Doesn't she spend every video talking down to
and will
people?
allow us to view people
Basically, yeah,
on the side of the aisle as people and not as enemies. And I think that that's just a really hard thing in American politics.
By the way, I always find it funny if you look at the classically Abby upvotes, downvotes. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, well, because she's just astroturfed, isn't she? She's got whatever weird, dark Shapiro money is there, you know.
Yeah, she pays for ads and stuff and directs people to her channel. I don't know what the idea was. I don't know if some think tank came to Abby and was like, okay, your brother has sort of the white conservative dude bro thing locked down. Could you maybe try and do the same thing, but for like young women? And now they're trying to push her really hard. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's basically the deal. Yeah, it would appear that way. It's the same sort of mindset as PragerU and academia.
Yeah.
Really often across the aisle, we view each other not as humans, but just as someone who disagrees with me. We see them as their politics, and people are so much more than that. So even though conservatives and liberals disagree on a lot, we are all people, and it's worth trying to understand the other side. Now, before I get started, I want to get out of the way here and now the difference between leftists and wokeists on one hand and liberals on the other. Leftists live out their woke ideology as religion.
Oh, no.
Even though it doesn't kind of look like.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely in the church of wokeism.
Yeah, every day I go and I pay sacrament to AOC and Bernie Sanders and drink of their blood. You know, it is what it is.
Wow.
Want to tear down our existing moral structures and society and start over from the beginning. They believe that all of the things that we now accept, things that are common sense, things that define morality, define right and wrong, define our social structure, all of that was created during a time when there was too much anything, too much bias, racism, any ism to have any value or legitimacy or moral authority. For the woke, for leftists, they believe that they are the only ones who know what true morality is and that we need to tear everything down and start over.
What? Okay, recognizing the issues of the past doesn't mean that you think that they're the only people who are, how do I put this? Everyone believes their morality is correct, right? It wouldn't be your moral belief system if you didn't. So saying that this is some exclusive left-wing thing is incredibly stupid, considering someone like Abby Shapiro, who's like anti-abortion, would certainly think that her moral view is the one correct one and would have no wavering from that at any point. I don't know. Just seems hypocritical.
Yeah, very much so.
Now think about that. From their words and actions, it is very clear that they believe they are smart enough to tear down everything that we have known and start it over with their woke ideology. And anything that is not their woke ideology is immoral, wrong, evil, bad. We need to get rid of it and start from scratch using their version of morality.
I don't even understand what she's saying here. Like, do they think I want to burn the city down and start from ashes? No, I want to recognize the problems with the system that we exist within and try and make changes to make it work for more people, like healthcare, like access to education, you know, like a society.
Oh, don't go Joker. Oh, no.
We can't really negotiate or have a fruitful conversation with leftists and wokists because we're starting on entirely different footing. It honestly doesn't make any sense to engage in conversation with someone who doesn't have common ground with us, because they don't look at how can we make things better from here. They think we need to tear it down and start.
Well, hang on.
over.
So that seems hypocritical on the basis that she's saying that they view conservatives as these terrible, evil people, but she's saying these people aren't even worth talking to.
Yeah, but that's because we're evil, don't you see? It's different when she says it because her morals are right.
Yeah.
Lumi, thank you for rating. Welcome, Raiders.
This is completely different from liberals who, like conservatives, are trying to do the best for everyone, but are still working within the same framework as we have about morality and social structures. Our disagreements with liberals can be significant, but very often they're more about practice than about principle. I believe that working with and talking to liberals can really create a fruitful conversation, and it's something that we should regularly and constantly pursue. And this is especially true because we need liberals on our side to fight against this wokist ideology,
See, but
this leftist woke.
This is the problem I have with the likes of Abby and her approach here, is that she's not actually trying to talk to liberals. She's trying to proselytize. She's trying to talk down to them, to preach to them.
I also find the idea of a right-wing liberal coalition against leftists to make me want to gag. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, this is her entire shtick is cringe. Yeah.
No.
Ideology. Conservatives and liberals need to work together to stand against that kind of thinking. But now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt and 6 ways to talk to liberals. Number 1 is to make people feel understood before trying to change their mind. Jonathan Haidt uses the metaphor of
She's doing a bad job so far, if that's her intent.
a rider and an elephant to describe how people think. The rider is conscious, active reason and logic, and the elephant is intuition. It's unconscious impulses. We as people like to believe that the rider is fully in control, that everything that we believe and everything that we do is controlled by our logic and our reason and our conscious mind. But the fact of the matter is that's not really true, according to Jonathan Haidt. He says that the elephant is in control more often because think about how heavy an elephant is in comparison to a rider, and that the elephant will throw its weight around more than we think, such as a visceral reaction. When the elephant does take control, the rider's role is to justify what the elephant did. And he'll think that
What
it
the
was
fuck
his
is she
own
even
idea to
talking
do
about
that,
now?
even-
That's not how riding any animal works.
Yeah.
The animal doesn't do its own thing and then you go, I meant to do that. If it's a trained animal, you've trained it to respond to your commands. What? This metaphor sucks.
Yeah, no, it's when you see it like horse racing. They're just sort of hoping the horse will jump over the fences and go the right way around the track. It's fine. That's how it works. And every time they're lucky that it does do that. Yeah.
Even if it's kind of after the fact. We often will have a gut reaction to things. We'll have a feeling and then end up explaining it and justifying it and reasoning for it afterward. We create a sophisticated reason for why we believe it rather than the
that's
other way around.
absolutely true.
It's not that we will have a logical thought and then our emotions follow. Usually our emotions will go first and then our reasoning will explain that emotion for us.
Yeah, that's true. That's how politics basically works, doesn't it? That, and this is what was always problem with the reason and facts and logic thing that people do. Is that, yeah, there's a large part of it is emotionally you feel a certain way. Maybe you feel more, and it can be boiled down, obviously, rather reductively to if you feel more compassionate to people, you're probably going to be more left-wing. And if you feel more fearful of other people, you're probably going to be more right-wing. It's a bit reductive, but that's basically true. And then from that position, whatever position you come to on the spectrum, as it were, the political spectrum, you end up rationalising that, because you can basically rationalise virtually every position.
True.
And that's how that goes. And so to pretend that we're entirely logical, reasonable robot people isn't real. And so the kind of Ben Shapiro destroys people with facts and logic when actually he's just a rich kid trying to justify his rich kid ideology is nonsense.
Therefore, if you want to change someone's emotion for us, Jonathan Haidt writes, therefore, if you want to change someone's mind about a moral or political issue, talk to the elephant first. You basically want to understand that the person you're talking to, you're actually talking to their elephant and not to their rider. You have to appeal to their emotions first before trying to appeal to their reason. So you want to be nice, you want to be kind, you want to show that you do understand their point of view.
But you don't? I've heard Abby Shapiro talk about this stuff before. She's a rich kid who's never struggled a day in her life. She has absolutely no idea what non-wealthy people deal with, so she has no way of actually empathizing with these people. So you can't understand them, at least not from what I've seen about how she talks about this stuff.
Well, exactly, yeah. And she does the annoying thing of saying she's, you know, she does this classically, because it's classically Abby, right? Which is basically just tradcon nonsense. But she does the kind of weird amalgam of tradcon nonsense, but also she wants to have a career in media. Those two things are incongruent. You can't do that. That's obviously ridiculous, but you want your cake and eat it, and it's pretty disgusting when you're telling other women basically shut up and be barefoot and pregnant.
And that you can work with that, you understand what they're saying, and then you can start to appeal to the writer. Because if you were immediately to just say, you're dumb and here's why, then no matter how well you convince the writer, the elephant still won't lean in your direction. And therefore, it won't matter that you've convinced them logically and you've given them reason after reason, because intuition-wise, in their stomach, in their visceral reactions, they will not be able to agree with you. So you always want to make sure that when you're talking to someone on the other side of the aisle, you make sure they feel heard, they feel understood, that you are showing them that you have good intentions when you talk to them. Because if it just comes off like, I have to convince you no matter what, then they're not going to feel like they can accept that reasoning. That line of reasoning will not matter, and you will lose your opportunity to maybe change someone's mind. Number 2 is recognizing the thought process someone on the other side of the aisle is having when disagreeing with you. Jonathan Haidt writes, reasoning can take us to almost any conclusion we want to reach because we ask, Can I believe it when we want to believe something, but must I believe it when we don't want to believe? This continues on with the idea of the rider and the elephant. The rider is often sent to find all of the information it needs to prove what the elephant wants him to prove, and then ignoring any other information. And the rider will again claim that it was his idea all along to think what he thinks, but really it was the elephant all along.
But again, that's not how riding animals works.
No, flawed metaphor.
To justify all of our feelings because we have both logic and intuition. So when the elephant feels something, the rider will go out and find what it needs to prove that. So if you're having a discussion with someone on the other side of the aisle and you are making logical arguments, you need to understand that they're probably asking themselves, must I believe this? Unless you have proven your point without a doubt and also made sure that the elephant feels comfortable changing gears, you won't have changed the other person's mind. So it's important to do both. Number 3 is that people in the West are weird. Let me explain what I'm talking about. So
What? That sounds like some anti-white propaganda if ever I've heard it.
I feel like if Ben Shapiro didn't know this was his sister, he would say that. But who knows?
Yeah, this SJW woman on the internet daring to question Western civilization. It's an outrage!
Psychology is conducted on a very small subset of the human population. People from cultures that are Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic, which forms the acronym WEIRD. Weird people are statistical outliers. They are the least typical, least representative people you could study if you want to make generalizations about human nature. And another interesting point is that so often the people that are used in studies are college students who are even more atypical than the average person. If you think about yourself in college, if someone were to use you as an example, it would just not be really reflective of people generally, of people working in everyday life.
I was basically an alcoholic, so yeah, definitely.
So what Jonathan Haidt is talking
It doesn't count in college. That's fine.
Yeah.
about here is how people in the West and weird people are people who only look at morality on one dimension, which is harm and fairness. They don't think that morality contains any other dimensions. It's just harm and fairness. But most people from other parts of the world think that morality has many different spectrums.
Is this going to be like a consequentialism versus like deontology thing? Because both are valid in different ways and contexts. That doesn't make one superior to the other.
Western liberals analyze morality based on the individual alone and not in the context of communities or social obligations.
That's completely untrue, especially in regard to like leftists who want health of society to improve for things like, if we're in the United States talking about universal health care, which is something that I still can't believe we don't have.
That is
like
yeah, that is the oddest thing. And I feel desperately sorry for Americans in some respects, because they'll talk about like having to not going to hospital. It's not just for like things that will kill you, but they'll just live with pain.
Yeah.
Because you can't afford to go to the that's not a healthcare system. That's a sick care system. Then you have to be dying before you get. And like sick days, that's another thing. I remember talking to an American. It was the first American I'd ever really like met and talked to as like an adult, and they were going on about how many sick days you get at work. And I was like, what do you mean, sick days? Well, how many days do you have allowed to have off sick? But it depends how sick you are. What, you can have as many days as you need to be not sick anymore. There's no number of days. That's mad. So you're forcing people who are ill to go to work. That's not productive or healthy or humane.
Nope. And it's also bad for the workforce as a whole, because if that person has something that is contagious, they're going to spread it to other people, then also have to take time off. It's very stupid.
Yeah.
Conservatives, though, they view morality as the sum of many parts. They see that there's more to morality than just harm and fairness. What this means for conservatives who have a more holistic view of morality.
I don't have a comment there. I just found it funny.
Also, to the person in the chat, I am about as far away from Australia as it's physically possible to get without getting in a spaceship. But I like the fact that you think I'm an Aussie. That's nice. And I'm Kevin. Hello.
Is that we have to show liberals that the other parts of morality do fall under the umbrella of harm and fairness. Jonathan Haidt actually doesn't say this in his book, but I think it's really important, and I think it's something he almost missed in the book. He says that there are 6 foundations of morality. He says there's the Care Harm Foundation, the Fairness Cheating Foundation, Loyalty Betrayal Foundation, Authority Subversion Foundation, Sanctity and Degradation Foundation, and the Liberty Oppression Foundation. I would argue that all of these principles of morality are actually also part of the Care Harm Foundation. And this is something that is super important to liberals because it's the only thing that they see is moral. That's the only part of morality that generally matters to them. So if that's the only one that matters to them, showing them how the 5 other principles of morality do actually deal with harm and fairness and deal with care and harm is something that can change the game when you're having a conversation with them. We just need to show that there is a deeper, broader, and more meaningful understanding of what care and harm actually means. And if you can present the other 5 principles of morality as also being about care and harm to a liberal that is weird, then you can actually change their mind.
Okay, but like, how does this factor in? Like, okay, you claim to have a more in-depth understanding of care or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But American conservatism has like been cheering on the ripping of children from their families in immigrant detention. How in the name of holy hell is that possibly in like, maybe I've just got a really unnuanced perspective on what care means, but that seems like the least caring thing you can do.
They're using nice language like caring to try and justify bad actions by claiming that, well, it'll hurt individuals. However, as a result of us doing these things that are bad for individuals, it'll help the health of society as a whole, even though there's no evidence for that.
Yeah.
And they don't really care about that. They just care about justifying the bad things that they want to do because they're convenient or profitable for them. Stupid.
Number 4 is that just because someone is born with a certain disposition, that doesn't make them predestined to be left-wing or right-wing. Their temperament could make them more predisposed, but it's not for sure. It's not guaranteed. And even if your elephant, it tends to lean one way or another, right? Is maybe more libertine or is maybe more strict. And your rider can easily justify that because that's what riders do. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to end up being a liberal or a conservative. Honestly, people just aren't that simple and aren't that shallow. A good example is if you have actually been convinced of an idea that doesn't seem natural to your personality, you can successfully live a lifestyle that doesn't fit with who you are, in a sense. For example, if you're a more libertine person who has low anxiety, maybe wants to try a lot of new things, but you've been convinced about conservative ideas and conservative values and the meaning of religion, then you can live a conservative life. You can be a conservative. And vice versa. There are people who are conservative people who tend to feel more nervous about things or more strict, who are convinced of liberal ideas and then end up being more liberal. Life and people are broader than the categories we try to fit them into. So with that in mind, if you meet someone that has a personality that seems to fit more in one box or the other, that doesn't mean that they have to be that one thing. If you meet somebody who is more libertine and you think, well, they have to be liberal, that doesn't necessarily ring true. Number 5 is understand why liberals are skeptical of religion and groupishness so that you can really try and address their concerns. It's so important to recognize...
Is groupishness a word?
Let's take a look. Probably.
Groupishness. Okay. I thought they were on the collectivism bandwagon.
Groupishness in the age of the internet. I don't see just like a straight up definition, but
so it's like
it must be.
It's a new word or something. Okay. Well, that's fine.
Sure.
I'm not one of these people who's like, that's a made-up word. All words are made up.
Yeah.
Between real religion and good community and the version of those things that are bad. In discussing the new atheist perception of religion, Jonathan Haidt writes, if religion is a virus or a parasite that exploits a set of cognitive byproducts for its benefit, not ours, then we ought to rid ourselves of it. But what's fascinating is that religion actually binds people together and has done so for thousands of years.
Okay, but you can do those things without believing things that aren't necessarily true. And again, I don't really care if someone's religious. That's their business. I'm not going to tell them what to do. They have the right to do so. But it's also something that I just don't think is true. And I think it tends to harm people more than it helps them. And the things that help them can probably be achieved through other means other than this particular thing that they collectively believe in. But whatever.
Yeah, also, it can bring people together, and that's fine. If you get a sense of community from it, that's fine. But also, religious wars are a very, very significant thing, even internally within individual religions. If you look at, say, the Middle East right now, that Islam doesn't seem to be bringing those people together.
Sure. Also, like even here in the United States, using your religion to justify hatred of certain groups, trans people, gay people, whatever. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Religion has to be trustworthy and do the right thing in the eyes of God and in the eyes of each other. And only the groups whose gods encouraged cooperation survived. True happiness only comes from the feeling of being part of something greater. That's why you have leftists and wokeists treating that
Wokeists represent.
because it feels like they're a part of something greater than themselves. When you don't have real religion, you make one up.
You can have social cohesiveness without having religion. You can feel civic responsibility or some sort of cultural collectivity without it being a religion.
Yeah.
It's very strange that they feel the need to define these in religious terms.
Also, I like the idea that she says, if you don't have a religion, you'll make one up. Like that wasn't how all religions started. What do you think? Just you plucked Judaism off a tree? Like it didn't appear naturally. People made it up.
And so for people who are participating in religion, it brings them joy, it brings them happiness, and it's super important to creating communities, creating good behavior among societies. It's really important. And being able to show why, from a societal perspective, religion is a good thing and not a bad thing is going to be a really good talking point with liberals. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory said, "The meaning of a system cannot arise within the system. The meaning of our lives must come from outside of ourselves." Number 6 is that liberals don't understand...
Sure, but that meaning doesn't inherently have to be supernatural in some way. Like,
Yeah.
If I had to define like a meaning for my life, I don't know if I would have one, but it could be something along the lines of trying to, I don't know, help other people, or it could be like trying to,
Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets also, sure. Got to consume as many of those as possible. You know, it can be whatever. That's perfectly fine. That's a system of organizing your life that comes from outside of yourself. I don't even know what a system of belief coming from within yourself would be other than being like a narcissist.
Yeah, but it's self-obsession. Yeah.
Sure.
The way that conservatives understand liberal ideology. The reason that liberals don't give conservatives the benefit of the doubt is because they truly do not understand the way that we think. They don't understand that conservatives are really trying to bring about more happiness in society by encouraging society to be a community built on values that are accurate about human nature and moral virtue.
Okay, so basically you're using flowery language to say, I know better than everyone else, and I'm going to impose a hierarchy on all of you that I believe will make you happy. Now be happy.
Yeah.
No.
It's sort of religio-political. I don't want to say authoritarianism necessarily, but it sounds a bit that way.
Yeah, she's basically saying, we know better than you. You don't have the right to do what you want to do with your life just because you think it'll make you happy. We know what's best, and you need to do what we want.
Yeah.
And that's awful. That's awful. I don't care if you have good intentions behind your authoritarianism or your like fetish for a hierarchical system. That doesn't make it good. I don't care if you have good intentions. People do bad things with good intentions all the time. They're still bad.
Well, all authoritarian regimes throughout history think they're doing something good.
Yeah.
They all profess like they're doing, they're saving their people, they're saving their way of life or whatever, and it's always horrific for anyone who isn't within that very tightly confined list of things you're allowed to be.
Yeah.
And which have rules that are the proper balance of humility and aspiration. And the reason liberals don't understand this is because they're weird. They view everyone as individuals. They do not see
people are individuals, but they exist within a society. It's about striking a balance between individual liberty and health of society. So, for instance, you can't have the liberty to go and commit fraud or embezzle people, but you do have the liberty to go and decide what you want to do with your life, right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, I think, at the moment, the COVID thing is the perfect example of that. That
Sure.
there are, or the perfect, it reveals a certain thing about the way in which right-wing people see their roles in society or see their place in society, that they will happily go and cough in the face of every old person they see because it's their right. Why should they wear a mask? Because everyone breathes the same air. It's so obvious. Just wear a damn mask. No, you're not going to suffocate. No, it doesn't stop you from breathing. You're fine. Surgeons wear them for hours on end. It's perfectly normal. Stop being a dickhead.
the communal binds that make people happier. And in doing so, in breaking people apart into individuals, they are making people lonelier and sadder because they don't see what the connections actually bring. They believe that personal freedom in every moment is the highest possible good. And
That's hilarious because I often see right-wingers claim that that's their belief. That's funny.
Yeah.
You forgot that in the pursuit of liberty in this sense, they have actually made people sadder and more alone and deprived them of the duties and obligations that give people meaning. So this
is the thing that annoys me with the capitalist approach to things. Oh, sorry. Could you just pause? Yeah. This is what annoys me about the capitalist way of doing things in regards to what she's saying here. That what actually makes people feel alone and less connected to the society around them is the fact that because of things like the consumerism and the kind of individualization of the unit of the one person, the kind of cult of the individual, if you will, amongst capitalism, and self-gratification as like the ultimate goal, or the that sort of thing. People have been completely destroyed from their concepts of society. Like literally, Margaret Thatcher said that there was no such thing as society, and that was the very sort of core of the kind of Reaganomics thing, right? That's what's made people feel more alone and disconnected from the world, because you just worked 1 million hours a week and you've got no money and there's no connection. I know people who've lived next door to one another for years and don't know each other because they only really go home to sleep, because they're just units of production at this point. It's soulless. It's disgusting.
How we think, instead of just random rules and puritanism that they think that we believe in because of social media and movies and pop culture.
Or it's because we've known conservatives and we deal with conservatives and we understand the consequences of conservatism.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they give credence to your arguments in the first place, just because you are giving them reason to understand how you think and why you think that way. So those were my 6 ways to talk to liberals, to convince liberals, to have a conversation with liberals, and to really try and understand them and have them understand us. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments, have you read Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind? I really enjoyed it. I thought that it
was
had
this a video about elephants?
And I would love to hear
I think that's it. That's what I got out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elephant.
I learned nothing else. I learned something about how not to ride elephants or something. That's, yeah.
I wonder what the comments are like on this. How to talk to liberals. Pay YouTube so you show up on their feeds for about a week every few months.
Yes.
She talks about liberals like a troubled kid she's decided to take pity on.
Yeah, people. That's what the point I was making. That she literally just talks down to people. She's not actually having a conversation with anyone. She's saying, "Listen, liberals, I know the truth. You just need to do what I think."
Yeah. She's really good at giving people headaches.
True.
Okay, that's Abby Shapiro.
Good.
Let me switch over to the other capture. Coolio. Oh, I gotta take my screen share.
Oh, we'll be doing one of mine. Okay. Well, before hang on a second. Oop, hang on. I need to share a thing. I was going to show because someone wanted to see my cat. You've seen people just saw lupine, so I might as well show my cat. Hang on a second. How do I do that? If I just show you on OBS, I think would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.